Legislature's Public Works Committee, Security Council. Kathy, will you please take the roll call?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. Ricard,
Present.
Mayo,
Here.
Cleary,
Here.
Fine, Andrew Joyce.
Here.
LaRilliard. Here. Reinhardt is excused. Bergdorf.
Here.
And Smith.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. The first item on the agenda is to approve the previous month's minutes. Did everyone have a chance to read them? Yes. Mr. Cleary makes a motion, second by Mr. Mayo. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. We're actually going to move the next item to towards the end because the commissioner's running a little late. So we're going to actually go to the third item. Please read the third item.
Item 3 is Resolution 575, authorizing the county executive to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the city of Albany to honor veterans. Andrew Joyce is here this evening.
I just want to make a comment on this. As the grandson of two individuals who served in the European theater during World War II, I think it's great a program like this. Anything to get acknowledgement for veterans and or family members, it's a great thing to see. So we're going to appreciate it. Legislator.
Yeah, this effort began way back in 2023. I represent parts of the city of Albany. I'm from the city of Albany. I always thought the city of Albany should have a banner program. I'm really glad that the program is continuing and it's been picked up. And quite frankly, I think the planning that's been done on it over the past couple of months has improved on the original concept. So we work closely with the Veteran Services Bureau and the American Legions and the VFWs in the city of Albany, and the members who represent those VFWs and American Legions to, bring the program along and form a selection committee. And I was just handed, $10,000. It was $10,000 in the 2023 budget, as we planned. It kept rolling it along, but we have got bids, and it's for $6,800 for 24 banners. If the program is as successful and popular as I think it is, there might be a plan to do a little bit more potentially, but at long last, we'll have a banner program for veterans in the city of Albany.
I think that's a great opportunity for any veteran in the city of Albany. I know a lot of other municipalities have it, so it's a great program. Do any of the other legislators have any comments on this?
I'm just curious, did this come to be because of your leadership in pushing for it for the city of Albany?
It began in 2023, but Chairwoman Cunningham is carrying it across the finish line
Okay,
here.
I just wondered, what about other areas in the county? If they,
I think a lot of towns in the county have done it or are doing it currently. Colony, Green Island, Waterville, a lot of communities. I'm sure in East Burn they do programs as well. We're just bringing City of Albany along for it.
Always has a Waterville lead. I think you got one in Colony too, right?
well, we get I don't think we have the banner program. We have
Flags.
the Honor Me group, which is 3 individuals that have moved it forward year after year after year. But we don't have a banner program, so to speak. And that program is all privately financed.
Sure.
They do get some grants, I think, from Pioneer Bank or somebody gave them a big grant. But it doesn't operate with any public funds.
I understand.
So we would be receptive to doing this with other communities, obviously.
What was the last thing you said?
I hope we would be receptive if we wanted to do something like this with other communities as well.
I mean, we have it at Cohoes. I know Waterville has a program, I think, right?
We're definitely going to try the concept in the city and kind of flesh it out based off what we learn other communities are doing. You're right, it's privately funded in other areas, but but depending on the success and popularity of this and the concept, potentially do it in other towns and cities as well.
I mean, I think any municipality, in Albany County, the veterans get acknowledgement or recognition. I think that's great, whether it's Colony or wherever it is. I think it's a great thing.
I think, what Deputy's getting at is, so the county's gonna pay for the city.
Yep.
Are we gonna do the other ones that are doing, that's kind of.
That's an excellent point. I think at some point that discussion should be had, and hopefully we will. Whether we're on that legislative body at that point or whoever is, I would hope they would.
Well, what we're doing is this is to enter an intermunicipal agreement with the city of Albany.
Yep.
And depending on the success of this, we can use this as a pilot
Absolutely.
for Colony, Guilderland.
I didn't really look behind this because I knew I was going to support it, but I'm just curious, is the city of Albany putting up any money?
I think they'll be putting up the signs.
I mean, they'll be putting up the sign, but
Yeah.
there's $10,000 here, right? Didn't you say
6,800 for the banners.
6,800?
Yeah.
Okay. So is the city of Albany putting up any cash?
Not that I know of yet, but.
Okay, I'm just
Yeah,
trying
those
to.
discussions are, yeah, yeah.
Just trying to understand what the lay of the land
Yeah.
is for future consideration.
Yeah, no, those are valid points, Paul. Is there any other comments on this? Would somebody like to make a motion on it?
Motion.
Mr. Clay makes a motion, second, Mr. Smith, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, everyone.
Commissioner Raimondo, would you? So we're going to go back to the second item on the agenda.
Item 2 is Resolution 572, requesting the Department of Public Works to conduct a complete street study regarding the intersection of county and municipal roads.
Welcome, Commissioner.
Oh, thank you.
And this is Mr. Commissioner's item, but if there are questions that the Commissioner can answer.
It's basically self-explanatory. There's many streets and sidewalks that are within the different municipalities throughout the county where there have not been any sidewalks put in as long as the areas have been in existence. So I'm looking to take and have a study done as to what the cost would be to do a project where we tie in to the different municipalities with sidewalks. Right now, for example, the 11th district probably has 25% sidewalks, the other 75% grass and dirt. Kids walk to the public school in the middle of Russell Road. It's very, very difficult. Certainly, the disabled have a real problem with it. Those that are familiar with Russell Road, from Crumbkill to the city line, the town of Bethlehem has taken it upon themselves after much discussion to extend sidewalks and curbs along Russell Road from Crumbkill and down Crumbkill part of the way. It's very much needed. Over a number of years, there have been many people who requested it. And we even went out with petitions going back many, many years ago. Prior legislator before me went out with it. And, fell on deaf ears. Now with the Disability Act and everything else, there's, once again, we're reaching out, trying to get Public Works to do a study and connect some of these areas that aren't connected to the municipalities. I know it's an undertaking, and I'm sure it's going to cost some money, but it's long overdue. And I believe the American Disabilities Act at one time may have provided some funds for this type of work to take place. But I'll try and answer any questions, if anybody has any. And I'm sure that other, Colony has some.
Oh, I was going to ask a question.
Yeah.
Commissioner, do you want to add anything on to it, Judge Slater?
So, I guess in reading through the request, I guess, I think I need a little clarity on whether it was my understanding that it would be a study to study roads that have jurisdiction that ends in the county and begins in another municipality,
That's
such as
correct.
Russell.
That is correct.
Is it about studying all those roads or identifying all of those roads that might have needs and identifying corridors? Or is it more specific to the Russell Road corridor?
Well, as I pointed out, probably 75% of the Leonard District has no sidewalks. I'm looking for sidewalks initially in the most critical spots, and Russell Road happens to be one of them. I mean, some of these streets in Albany County were designed for horse and buggy. It's very, very difficult when you have two cars parked, one on each side, somebody trying to walk their child in a carriage, and somebody coming down the street with a bicycle. It's just,
It is. I feel your pain, I do. I actually grew up kind of in that neighborhood near Buckingham Pond and, you know.
we're looking at Buckingham Pond too, going down Berkshire to Buckingham
Yep,
at some point. And I know that to undertake every situation throughout the county that falls under this would take a long, long time.
so, I know that, you know, a sidewalk project of that magnitude would lend itself to certain grant funds, TAP CMAQ would be something. And I do know that the city back in, I think it was 2021, they applied for TAP CMAQ funding. And in doing their application, you have to pretty much identify the scope of the project. And the scope of the project included obviously a lot of right-of-way along because there's so many houses. It included taking, you know, having to rebuild people's retaining walls because there were retaining walls in the way. Their
Sure.
driveways are down in and their driveways would have to be redoing the drainage because we would wind up having to put curbing in and, you know, so there's drainage, utility relocation, right-of-way. And in their report, well, in their application, back in 2021, the cost of the project was estimated to be 7-point-some-odd million. So I want to make sure whatever study we do is productive, and knowing that that sort of an application has already been done, and the 2021 dollars were estimated. What are we looking to locate grant funding applications? That would be part of it.
That would be part of it. I mean, you know, it's quite expensive.
I got you.
First of all, that $7 million funding that you're talking about, we're not talking both sides of the street, we're talking one side.
I think that the 7 million was for both sides, so say maybe cut it in half.
Yeah.
Mr. Berger, if you have a question?
Yeah, and I kind of thought that Frank had worked this with DPW, but it appears it is more of your piece responding to, on a countywide basis, to at least some specific considerations you have in your district. Like my district, when I read this and I say, complete streets regarding the intersection of county and municipal roads, well, my district has Waterville Shaker Road, Albany Shaker Road, Old Niskayuna Road, Osborne Road, and they intersect with hundreds of colony streets. So I guess what I'm wondering about is how do you narrow this, if it is truly on a countywide basis, to those intersections or those areas of property that people want to prioritize? Because if you're going through the town of Colony, Dave's got county roads in his district, Susan in hers, and they intersect with literally every cross street in Colony. So I don't know how you triage that.
Well, there's several different studies which are in motion, I believe, right now, and one is called Complete Streets, I believe. I don't know if you,
So that's more about like a policy that develops items that we would be including on our projects if the funding is there.
Right.
So I was in trying to identify or just wrap my arms around what we're asking for. I'm wondering if the study would identify corridors that show the most need based on existing pedestrian use, existing bicycle use. Like if the study could home in on those like corridors, and those corridors could be, Russell Road with a pedestrian count, that, perhaps we approach it from that vein, taking counts and identifying corridors and trying to distribute them equitably.
I think that's the idea that I was looking at, because it was in my district, and that's where I started. And that's where I started to get the complaints, can't bring the kids to school, can't walk the streets, so on and so forth, no sidewalks, so I never intended that it would cover the full county, but there's some areas, and when you mentioned Shaker Road, I believe that there's funding there from the federal because of the airport connection,
Well, we
different.
just finished rebuilding
Yeah,
a
I know,
huge chunk of Shaker Road.
I know.
Uh,
So some areas do fall into different categories where the monies could possibly come from,
So,
but I think it'd be,
Susan, you want to make a quick
yeah,
comment?
thank you. I'm glad you brought this issue up. So I have a fundamental question regarding sidewalks. And is there an Albany County policy in general about when you're looking at roadways that are county roadways, when you would require sidewalks to be placed there irrespective of funding to start out with, if there's a policy about that? And two, I understand that either it's Capital District Transportation Council, if that's their current name, that they're undergoing their 5-year plan for transportation projects. So how does the idea that Frank has about looking at how our streets, county, town, state roadways in Albany County, how that process could be utilized to seek funding for what Frank is interested in. The third thing is, right now they're also, the CTC is doing a zero vision planning process where it's pretty far along. I'm on the Community Advisory Committee for that, and they have identified areas in the capital region, City of Albany, Green Island, I believe, I'm not sure if Colony's not part of it, they didn't ask for the grant monies, where there are problematic areas for pedestrian and bicycle safety, looking at crash data and things like that. So they're in the middle of that. So how this whole thing could be put together, my question, just throwing it out here for discussion, is how all of this general policy in the county for what we're looking for bicycle, pedestrian, sidewalks when we do projects, how we prioritize looking for grant monies for that type of public safety issues, and how we fit in with this new 5-year, I don't know if it's a tip or, I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
saying it right, process, which looks like it only happens every 5 years. If you don't add your stuff in, you're out and stuff like that. So how we could be proactive and address what Frank's concerned. Certainly in my district, we have the roads Paul mentioned. We have Console Road, Waterville Shaker Road, we have town roads, no right of way, children getting picked up along these roads for school bus pickups, early morning, no street lighting. So, I'd be very interested in how we could do something about this issue, looking at that there's a lot of money, as I've been told by this CTC, Zero Vision Committee out there. Once you get your stuff together, we can then apply for grants. So I hope maybe we could be part of that.
So that's what my my thought was for a document that we would produce based on this resolution was that municipalities could leverage it for grant money. Because it's, once you have the study done and corridors are identified, that brings your standing for TAC-CMAC and various other pedestrian safety grants much higher. You get extra points for that. As far as a policy for sidewalks on our county roadways, we don't have a policy per se. We have corridors that, the larger ones, Waterloo Shaker, Albany Shaker, New Carner, those types of roads that have sidewalks and they have voids, and whenever we do like a capital project, we always try to fill in those voids on those roads. And if they're in a location where they might be part of the bike loop, the Albany Loop Trail, we try to implement an actual multi-use path on those locations. But most of the county roads are, rural. And so, you can imagine there's like only so much money out there, and we are doing our best to just maintain the roads as it stands. And every time we do put in like another multi-use path, that's something else we have to maintain, and we have limited resources. So we said, you know what, it's worth it. We need to put one in here at Waterloo Shaker, and we did that. But if we get enough citizens asking for something on one of our roadways that typically wouldn't lend itself to sidewalks, we would certainly study it. I think a lot of the roads we're speaking about are municipal roads though. And so we can do so much. We can certainly have a study done, and I did talk with CRTC, Sandy Miskowitz, about the study and coming up with a scope for it. And so we're going to be working with her if this happens. But we do need to define it, and I feel like, defining the scope is going to be, the most important piece of it.
Would you be opposed, Mr. Camiso, if we get a little more information and we can bring it back maybe next month or something? You okay with that?
No, no.
Just to get a little more information from the commissioner, maybe we can define it like she just alluded to.
Sure,
Is that okay?
it's okay by me.
I was going to say that sounds like a great idea. I wonder if the commissioner would be willing to take a little project on in the intervening month, which is to reach out to the other municipalities and maybe to ask them if there are certain areas where town and county roads come together within their jurisdiction that they'd like to nominate for a study, so that we at least get ask the municipalities and their planning people to say, well, this intersection's just been rebuilt, that's not really legit,
Right, like prioritize what
Yeah.
we see as a need, knowing that we can't have everything, but at least if each municipality nominates a corridor, those corridors could be studied.
Yeah, so just another point. So a lot of this work is being done with the crash data and the pedestrian safety with this committee, the Zero Vision Committee.
Yep.
So hopefully, I know Colony was not a grant applicant for that, but I have been in touch with the head of the Colony Highway Safety Committee, and we're trying to get a meeting with that safety committee, and that might be a good place to start, Paul.
let me know when
Yeah.
you pull that together. I would be delighted to attend that with you.
And I'm happy to network between the legislators and the commissioner to try to get everything all together, and happy to reach out to municipalities as well if you need that assistance. All right.
Thanks, Frank. Good idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Since the sponsor's going to table this item, we can move on to the next item on the agenda. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to go to the 7th item on the agenda, which actually is yours, Commissioner. Could you please read that?
Sure. Item 7 is authorization to accept a New York State Traffic Safety Program grant to support the Albany County Traffic Safety Program, and this is the commissioner's item.
Yes, so a few months ago, you gave us the authority to pursue this grant funding, which we go after each year. This year, we were awarded $99,500, which is $9,500 more than what we were given last year, which is great. This funding will go toward our traffic safety instructor's salary and the purchase of bicycle helmets and attending various conferences.
By the way, I forgot to mention it, I know a couple of us were at your, the garage there a couple weeks ago, and the legislator, she brought it up last month too. You do a great job out there.
great.
It's really, it's good, especially the traffic safety program. Excellent work out there. It's, and they're very passionate about, what they're doing, all of your employees. So I think
Yeah.
you're doing a great job on that.
It was
So
nice to have you guys.
sorry for getting off on that
Yeah.
soliloquy. So does anybody have any questions on this?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second? Is there any, Ms. LaRue at seconds. Any more discussion on it? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So we're going to go to the eighth item on the agenda.
Item 8 is authorizing an agreement with Robert H. Fink and Sons regarding the purchase of a compact track loader and a compact excavator and amending the department's 2024 budget.
Yes, so we're requesting to purchase one Bobcat compact track loader and 2 compact excavators. Our goal is to get one of these machines in each of our subdivisions so that we don't have to transport them in between. It makes us work much more efficiently. And all of these items are going to be funded with CHIPS funding. It's called Extreme Winter Recovery Funding from CHIPS.
Okay. Do any of the legislators have any questions on this? Somebody like to make a motion? Mr. Smith, do I have a second? Second. Mr. Joyce, seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. That's it. Thank you, Commissioner.
Yep.
So we're going to go to the fourth item on the agenda now.
Item 4 is authorizing a lease agreement with Euro Sushi regarding restaurant space at the MVP Arena. General Manager Belver is here this evening.
Welcome, Mr. Belfer. How are you?
Thank you, good, thank you. This is going to be a real good addition, pending approval from the legislature. This is a very popular sushi restaurant chain in England. And actually I have some friends over there that are involved with similar arenas to what we have here. And they frequently go into the Cairo sushi up over there. This would be the first one that would be in the United States here in Albany. And they do plan to expand into other locations, but this would be their first one here in Albany.
Wow.
They would be putting all the money up for fit up in the space. The rent would be the same as the other tenants at $17 plus $2 common area maintenance, so it's $19 a square foot. It's a 5-year lease. The first 3 months, once they open, would be free rent as somewhat of a payback for all the investment that they're going to have. It'll be way more investment than the 3 months, but they originally asked for 9. We agreed to 3, pending approval from this committee. But I think it's going to be a good addition to the front of the building and to the downtown area to have a first-rate, good quality sushi restaurant.
Absolutely. Does anybody have any questions on it? Mr. Joyce?
Any idea if they're going to be open for lunch and on the weekends?
They are going to be open at lunch. I'm not sure about weekends. They haven't given us an actual final schedule yet, but they are planning to be open all day, for lunch.
Great, get some more activity in downtown Albany, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully it trends that way.
Yeah, and I think, quite frankly, they're seeing some of the news about future growth and soccer stadium and other things. So hopefully that growth will help them and others.
Mr. Berger?
It says they're going to deliver. All politics is local. How far?
Good question. I don't have an answer for you.
I say that somewhat in jest, but a good sushi delivery service is a wonderful thing.
A good majority of their business, as I was told, is people go in, they pre-order, and they go in and pick up. But they do deliver, you're right.
Yeah. Mr. Fine, do you have a question?
Thank you. Which space are they going into?
It's the former Enterprise Rent-A-Car space.
Okay.
So it's immediately to the right of the Stadium Restaurant Plaza.
Yeah.
And it currently does not have any cooking, ductwork, or anything else in there, so, there's a fair amount of fit-up to do with it. That'll be off the building code, obviously.
Any further questions? Would somebody like to make a motion on this? Do I have a second? Mr. Joyce, seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Please read the fifth item, Madam Chair.
Item 5 is authorizing an agreement with Cabot Coach Builders regarding the purchase and modification of 2 electric transit vans for opioid outreach services and amending the ARPA and opioid settlement budgets. And I believe either Commissioner Giordano or Adam Kirkman are here this evening. Well, we can move on to the next item. Item 6 is authorizing a lease agreement with Hilton Albany regarding lease of 81 parking spaces. Commissioner Latina?
I think Wesley is going to be handling this for the...
Yes.
Okay.
Which item?
Item 6, signing lease agreement
Okay.
with Hilton Albany. My name is Wesley Hartman.
I was going to ask you to please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Absolutely. Wesley Hartman, Operations Analyst with the County Executive Office.
Thank you.
So this request is to authorize a contract with Hilton Albany to provide parking for displaced court staff during DGS construction at the Spruce Parking Garage. So August 1st, we moved approximately 175 staff parking, majority going to MVP. However, 81 staff staying at Hilton. The term is 12 months with the option to extend an additional 6 months for a cost not to exceed $218,700. Now, we already have 81 of our staff parking there. We do not have a standing contract with them, and we have not exchanged any units yet. This is just, they offered us a good deal. The proximity to the court was ideal, especially when it comes to keeping court operations running smoothly. So that's all.
Do any of the legislators have any questions?
When you say you have 81 of your staff, are you talking about the court system or are you talking about the county staff?
Mixed.
And
So about half
you're-
and half. We spoke with each individual department for the staff, and they gave us priorities of who to mix, and so we tried to keep it as even as possible.
Yeah. So just a question in general, everybody who was parking there before from the court, are they offered a spot? Some people, I'll just cut to the chase. Some people pay the county to park there at the county, at
Yes,
the
sir.
court. Some people get it for free.
Yes,
Are
sir.
the people that are paying the county getting the option to go to the Hilton or somewhere else?
Well, it was given department priority based on seniority and need. So we had them determine that. That was something we didn't want to kind of get our hands in. And instead, it would be better for the departments to decide themselves.
Mr. Berger?
As someone who just got a jury notice, the default parking for the court system is they tell you to go park at the Hilton. Will this reduce any parking available for jurors on a day-to-day basis?
Not to my knowledge, sir. I don't believe so.
So we're not using up the entire capacity, and therefore there is no daily parking for jurors. There's going to continue to be an agreement between the courts and the Hilton for discounted parking, because
Yes,
that's
sir.
what it is, for the jurors.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
Just to follow up, the judges and their staff always park for free. Are they parking for free now in the Hilton? And are the county employees chipping in?
County employees, they are maintaining their regular payment. Court administrative and their staff are still not, or they are not paying.
So we're paying for the judges and their staff.
Yes, sir.
But the employees are paying the same they were paying in the garage.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Kavitsa, did you have a question?
I'm not.
I know you. Go ahead.
Is any of these funds going to be covered by the unified court system?
To my knowledge, no. Not
What is the
yet.
question?
The unified court system going to cover any of this?
No, they don't. Not in the contract that they have under 686.
It should be.
They don't. It's basically the position, this is just my knowledge, the court system believes that the judges, the law clerk, and the secretaries get to park for free. The county and the court system have always butted heads on that. The county's never acknowledged that, but they do provide the parking. At least until I left a year ago.
That whole discussion is completely above my head.
Yeah.
I don't want to give an answer.
No, it's not,
that
I'm
could be
just
read
telling
a different
you
way,
how
but
it's been, that's all.
Yes, that is currently.
And then, like I said, there's like 15 staff of the court that pays the county, just like the county employees pay.
I would say there's a little bit more than that. We also have about 27 sheriff vehicles parked there as well. So whenever it actually comes to Hilton, or even jury members parking there, it's actually increasing security there.
Well, the jurors go in and pay themselves. They stamp it, they get a discount. And then
Right,
they-
I was
yeah.
acknowledging that.
Yeah, so that's not part of that. It's just interesting. You don't know what's gonna happen.
If there's no further questions, would someone like to make a motion to move this item?
I'm gonna-
Made a motion by Mr. Cleary, do I have a second? Mr. Joyce seconds, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate it. Let's read the ninth item, please.
Item 9 is authorizing an agreement with Johnson Controls regarding an HVAC emergency service and preventative maintenance contract for chillers at the county office building and the judicial center. Commissioner Lapine is here today.
These are three maintenance, our maintenance contracts for a 3-year contract. This one's for the chillers at the courthouse, the judicial center. Johnson Controls is the lowest responsive bidder. They have the certified technicians in order to work on these carrier chillers. The amount of the 3-year contract is $260,000 and $430,000, and we put in a contingency allowance of $450,000 for emergency repairs on this.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do any of the legislators have any questions on this item? Mr. Berger?
Yeah, Dave, from the notes that I got, it said they were the lowest bidder on 2 of the components, Johnson Controls. How many components were there?
There are 2 components, the chillers and the cooling towers.
On their 2 components?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it unusual for us to put a $150,000 contingency on a $110,000 bid
Well,
for future repairs?
Well, yeah, it's a 3-year contract, so it's really, if you break it down, it's really $50,000 a year. I mean, you know, with the cost and the overhead now, you know, a minor repair on a chiller could cost you $25,000, $30,000, and a minor repair on one of these chillers. The chillers are pretty new at the judicial center. I mean, I believe, if I'm looking at them, I think they're probably about 8 to 9 years old, the chillers at the judicial center when we changed them out. But it's, the contingency allows you, because it is an emergency contract, I don't have to go out and get 3 pricing on it. It's already built into their contract, so I can get the chiller, you know, especially when you're dealing with heating and cooling in the buildings to keep everybody comfortable. You need that little cushion there to build.
So do you have unit pricing for,
unit
how do you
pricing-
tell what the agreed on price of a repair is?
It's the only they can only mark it up a certain percentage on the parts. It's only marked up. It's set pricing as far as their labor costs, and it's set pricing as far as how much they can mark up a part. So it might be 15%, or maybe 20% that they can mark up a part that you have to be replaced.
Is there any other questions from any of the legislators? Someone like to make a motion on this? Mr. Berger, Mr. Cleary seconds, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Please read the 10th item.
Item 10 is authorizing an agreement with Eckert Mechanical regarding an HVAC emergency services and preventative maintenance contract for the social service and financial, or services and family court facilities.
Again, this was the same part of the bids. We put these out every 3 years.
Eckert was the lowest responsive bidder for these services for the HVAC, social services and family court HVAC. It's a contract not to exceed $113,790 for $53,000, $53,790, plus a contingency allowance of $60,000 to cover emergency repairs in this equipment.
Okay, is there any questions by any of the legislators on this item?
Make a motion.
Mr. Curry makes a motion, do I have a second? Mr. Joy seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Please read the 11th item.
Item 11 is authorizing an agreement with BPI Mechanical Services regarding HVAC emergency services and preventative maintenance contract for various county facilities.
Yes, this was the same, issued in the same RFP. It's not to exceed cost of $391,014. The 3-year contract is for $195,507, and a contingency of $195,507. These cover the HVAC systems of the rest of the county buildings that I am in control of. That would be the county office building, mental health, Board of Elections, HVAC, social service boilers, judicial building, HVAC, courthouse HVAC, and family court boilers, and all records HVAC. There's multiple.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do any of the legislators have any questions on this item? Mr. Cleary makes a motion, do I have a second? Mr. Joy seconds, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Commissioner, appreciate it.
And item 5 is authorizing an agreement with Cabot Coach Builders regarding the purchase and modification of 2 electric transit vans for opioid outreach services and amending the ARPA and opioid settlement budgets. And Commissioner Riley is here this evening.
Hi, sorry about my colleague's absence, we will straighten that out, but
No worries.
as described by council, this is to take $341,000 of American Rescue Plan federal stimulus, as well as $17,000 from the opiate settlement funds to purchase 2 Ford Transit vans. This is to replace the current aging van that the motor program uses. This program's had a lot of success. It's tied to outreach and overdose response. So we'll take off the old van will come out of service. This will give us 2 vans that are fully custom coach built out to be mobile offices to be able to not only maintain the program but increase the program without it being on county dollars.
Do any of the legislators have any questions on this item? Someone like to make a motion on it? Mr. Cleary makes a motion, do I have a second? Mr. Schmidt seconds, all those in favor? Opposed, motion carries unanimously. I think that's it. Thank you, gentlemen.
Co-sponsor that.
You want to?
Yeah.
Oh. Does anybody else want to co-sponsor that item?
I'll co-sponsor.
Might as well add me.
Okay.
So, appreciate everyone's efforts this evening. That concludes our business for this evening. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Mr. Smith, adjourn. Second? Susan, seconds. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
That was like
Sorry.
I didn't see the stats, but I keep seeing them.